Turn our attention now to Capitol Hill, where House Republicans are cranking up the pressure on fellow Congressman George Santos.
Yeah, more Republicans are now calling for Santos to resign after the newly elected representative admitted to fabricating parts of his background in the lead up to the 2022 midterms. For more on this, we are joined by NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Tsirkin and NBC News correspondent George Solis, who's in Santos's district on Long Island, New York. Julie, let's start with you. Who are the latest folks to call for Santos to step down? What are they saying?
Yeah, look, well, I think it's notable that after yesterday, all House freshman Republican members have now called on Santos to resign. Remember, they are part of the same freshman class. Many of them actually were able to flip their districts, including Santos. And I think it's notable for what they had to say and why they think Santos should resign and it's time. Take a listen to what two of them had to say, and we'll talk about it more on the other side.
He's lost the confidence of people in his own community. So I think he needs to seriously consider whether or not he can actually do his job effectively. And right now, it's pretty clear he can't.
I don't think there's any way he could possibly perform his duty. But the man's got to be honest with himself and his constituents. And it's just clear to me that he can't do his job.
Now, that was Congressman Molinaro. You saw at the end there. In the beginning, that was Congressman Lawler. He actually ended up releasing a statement later in the night saying it is time for him to resign. And this comes after the Nassau County Republicans, the local Republican Party that actually helped Santos get to this place. They forcefully called on Santos to resign, saying that he lied and fabricated everything about him and has disgraced his voters.
And George, so far, Santos has refused to resign. Has his position changed at all in light of all these calls from his fellow Republicans to do so?
Yeah, good morning, Kathy. You'd be surprised, right? You would think that after hearing all of that from members on the Hill, he would actually take those steps to resign. But he is digging his heels, saying he has no plans to resign. And as he's been on the Hill, he's been avoiding questions about some of those fabrications and falsehoods, and including some about his campaign finances. But yesterday, NBC News actually was able to get Santos really quickly on an elevator where he said he would resign if 142 people told him to do so. Of course, he later clarified that point on Steve Bannon's War Room. Take a listen.
I came here to serve the people, not politicians and party leaders, and I'm going to do just that. And I've been doing just that throughout this entire first 2 weeks, whether it was voting for the speaker or whether it's been the last week where we've been working on legislation in my office. So, you know, I wish well all of their opinions, but I was elected by 142,000 people. Until those same 142,000 people tell me they don't want me, we'll find out in 2 years.
Yeah, and during that interview, Matt Gaetz, who was there interviewing Santos, asked him, all right, let's talk about some of those campaign finances. Where do they come from? And you'll notice he actually didn't answer the question, just saying, I'll tell you where it didn't come from. It didn't come from Ukraine, didn't come from China. So, again, there's certain things that he is excluding, which is, again, shaking the confidence of some of his constituents here in Nassau County.
Yeah,
Guys?
so, George, as we heard right there, he appears to be putting his fate in the hands of the 142,000 people who voted for him. How are they reacting to all of this where you are?
Yeah, Joe, it's a mixed bag. You have people who are his supporters who are going to say, hey, listen, what we've heard, that's fine. We want him to do his time in Congress. We want him to see what he'll do for us. But then you have others, including members of the GOP, as you heard Julie mention, the chairman of the GOP here in Nassau County, Joe G. Cairo, saying, you are not going to be an effective leader. It is time for you to step down. And, of course, we are going to spend the day here in Nassau County talking to more constituents and getting more reaction to see if people here do, in fact, want him to stay or go. It should be an interesting turnout, to say the least. Guys?
And, Julie, going back to you, do we know if Santos is likely to face the Ethics Committee? And what's leadership saying right now?
Well, that's the interesting thing here, because Republican leadership is actually saying, give him a chance. Let's, the people elected him. Let's see what he's going to do. He's part of the GOP conference. He was sworn in last week. And the reality here is that McCarthy, the speaker, needs his vote. And Santos supported McCarthy for his speakership. So, look, he is facing the Ethics Committee. That's because House Democrats from New York actually filed a complaint. So the Ethics Committee is currently looking into him. And McCarthy said as much. But he also said he'll be held accountable exactly as anybody else in this body would. But we will let that investigation play out. And I should know that other members of McCarthy's leadership, including Elise Stefanik from New York, actually, said Santos should not resign and he should serve his time because he was elected. But I think bottom line here, it all comes down to the votes McCarthy has. With that slim majority he was able to win in November, really every vote here counts. And Santos, coming from a +8 Biden district, would be a dangerous one to lose.
All right, Julie Tsirkin, George Solis, thanks so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.